My name is Samantha Moore, and I'm doing the presentation here. My partners are Emily Wilmers and Heather Wooden, and our presentation is on the adaptations for mental illness. So we're going to talk about different accommodations and ways that you can make your students feel comfortable and successful in the classroom. So mental illness affects all people of all ages, including children in the classroom. Might not be something that you totally think about when you think about mental illness, that it can affect students, but it does. But it doesn't only affect the students directly, but they can also have a profound effect on the people closest to the individuals with the mental illness. This can be bipolar disorder. It can interfere with students' moods, behaviors, and cognitive processes. So as teachers, we need to be prepared with strategies and accommodations for students entering the classroom with various mental illnesses. We need to be prepared to help them in whatever way that they might need. Just to go over a kind of quick definition. So this little umbrella to the right here shows all of the different mental disorders that we could encounter as a teacher. So they can be various mood disorders, anxiety disorders, psychotic, eating disorders, personality disorders, substance-related disorders, which might not be one that you always think of, but it happens, physical disorders, and then cognitive and developmental disorders. So just to kind of go over the definition, mental illness or a mental disorder refers to a wide range of mental health conditions. It can affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. These are all things that we see in a classroom as a teacher. Also as a student, I feel like I saw different things that affected my peers' mood and behavior especially. And you don't think about it instantly as a mental illness, but that's probably what's going on. Examples of mental illness include depression, which would be the bipolar disorder would fall under the depression umbrella, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. So the most common mental disorders or illnesses in children that we see would be our top most common is ADHD or ADD. That's definitely one that's seen in schools a lot, and it's pretty apparent. Next, we would have like anxiety, which I feel like is a growing mental disorder that we see in students, especially in today's society where the pressure of success is, I feel like it's much higher than it used to be. So anxiety from our parents relates into anxiety in our students. Conduct disorder, depression, so bipolar disorder, so onset after puberty, usually in conjunction with prior mental disorders such as depression. So students with bipolar disorder, they either have super high highs or super low lows, and this is something that can affect them as a student as well. And then eating disorders. So 1 in 13 children has an emotional disturbance that limits its participation in daily activities, and this can be any one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 disorders listed, or any one of the ones from before. Less common mental disorders in children, so psychosis or schizophrenia. So onset before puberty is extremely rare, so usually we don't see this in our students in elementary schools. Onset after puberty but before adulthood is also rare, so usually this kind of mental disorder happens to adults or shows up when they're adults. And then suicide, so 4,600 cases per year with 157,000 cases of adolescents being hospitalized for self-harm in children ages 3 to 17. So that's kind of a big number there of students who are self-harming or attempting suicide. That's something to definitely be aware of as a teacher. And then this is going to talk about our population. So research demonstrates that 20% of students in our K-12 schools suffer from a mental health issue that affects their home, school, and the community. Schools play a big role by providing and caring and supporting environment and work to identify mental health problems early so that students can receive treatment that they need. Some adaptations or accommodations that you can have for students with mental illnesses in the classroom. You can give them preferential seating, frequent breaks or prearranged breaks. Those are really good for students who might need to just step out and walk away from a situation for a second if they're getting too frustrated. Early availability to information. So again, taking away that anxiety, just giving them the information ahead of time so that they know what's to be expected. Exams in alternate formats. So some students get kind of taken aback or freaked out when it comes to exams. Extended time given for assignments and exams. Again, just adding extra time can help those students get the information either given to them or given to the teacher. Use of assistive technology, so that's something I use every day. We use a microphone in my classroom to help my students, not with a mental disability, but with a hearing disability. So there's definitely like a lot of assisted technology that can be used in a classroom for any kind of disability. Advance notice of assignments and any other reasonable accommodation. So as long as the accommodation seems like it would be reasonable for both the teacher and the student, it can usually be made happen. Some strategies to help students with mental illnesses in classrooms. So just reducing classroom pressure is the best way to help these students out. And that would be just making sure that you're being very clear about what's expected of them and making sure that they understand. And then also just one of the things that I saw in our research was to help students use positive statements regarding their performance or abilities. So especially students with mental disabilities, because they often feel like they aren't smart enough or their brain just doesn't work that way to do certain things, but it does, just works in a different way. So kind of reminding them to just keep that positive and growth mindset can be an effective strategy. And then just to break things into smaller pieces. So making a huge task seem smaller and more attainable can be a really great strategy as well. The implications, so the classroom environment, creating a safe and accepting classroom environment where the student feels safe and can feel part of the group. Academic instruction, so each mental illness is different, but making sure that these students get everything they need in their academics. And then social behavior, so students might need to practice their social interactions before they interact with the group. And then these are our references. So hopefully that you were given some insight on ways that you can help students with mental illnesses. They need to be, brought into the community and respected and appreciated and accepted just like any other student would. Thank you.